They say a wedding is the happiest day of your life, but for a wedding planner, it's a hostage situation. I have been in this business for 20 years. I have seen grooms pass out, bridesmaids fight, and cakes collapse. I can handle disasters. But there is one thing I cannot handle: disrespect. I am Sarah Jenkins. I own Elegance Events. I turn empty barns into fairy tales. I work 18-hour days so that spoiled princesses can have their perfect moment. But last Saturday, a bride named Brittany and her mother decided that my contract was just a suggestion. They thought that because they were rich and I was the help, they could bully me into submission on the biggest day of their lives. They forgot one crucial detail. Until the final check clears, I own the fairy tale, and I can turn it back into a pumpkin with a snap of my fingers. This is the story of the most expensive wedding I ever planned, and this is the story of how I packed it all up and drove away while the bride was screaming in her driveway. It started 6 months ago. Brittany Hampton, an influencer with 100K followers and an ego the size of Texas. Her mother, Mrs. Hampton, was worse. She treated me like a servant, snapping her fingers at me during tastings. "The roses must be Arctic white, Sarah," she would hiss, "not ivory. If I see a hint of yellow, I'm not paying." I smiled. I nodded. I charged them a difficult client fee hidden in the line items. The budget was massive: $250,000, imported orchids from Ecuador, a 10-tier cake, crystal chandeliers hanging from the trees, a Michelin star menu. The contract was clear. Final payment of the remaining 20%, $50,000, is due 24 hours before the ceremony. Failure to pay results in immediate cancellation of services. The week of the wedding was hell. Brittany changed the seating chart 10 times. She made my florist cry. She told my lighting guy he was too ugly to be seen and ordered him to work from the bushes. I bit my tongue. I needed the money. My daughter is starting college in the fall. Friday came, the deadline for the final check. I texted Mrs. Hampton. "Hi, just a reminder, the final balance of $50,000 is due by 5:10 p.m. today." She replied, "We'll settle up tomorrow morning. Too busy with the rehearsal dinner. Don't stress, darling." I should have stopped then, but I wanted to be professional. I wanted to trust them. Big mistake. The wedding day. Saturday morning, the venue, a stunning private vineyard, looked magical. My team had been there since 4 a.m. The tables were set with gold cutlery. The crystal glasses sparkled in the sun. The scent of thousands of white roses filled the air. The steak and lobster were prepping in the kitchen tent. It was perfect. At 12 p.m., guests were arriving in 2 hours. I found Mrs. Hampton in the bridal suite. She was drinking champagne. Brittany was getting her makeup done, filming a TikTok. "Mrs. Hampton," I said, holding my invoice, "the venue is ready. I need the final check now, please." Mrs. Hampton didn't look up. She inspected her nails. "About that, Sarah," she said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "We aren't paying the balance." I froze. "Excuse me?" Brittany spun around in her chair. "The napkins, Sarah, they are cream, not Arctic white. You ruined the aesthetic. I'm going to have to filter all my photos." "The napkins match the tablecloths exactly," I said, trying to stay calm. "And that doesn't void the contract. You owe $50,000. Mrs. Hampton stood up. She was a tall woman, intimidating. She walked over to me and poked me in the chest. "Listen to me, the help!" she hissed. "You have already set everything up. The food is cooking. The flowers are arranged. You aren't going to tear it down now. The guests will be here in an hour. You will take $10,000 as a settlement for your incompetence, or you will get nothing. And if you make a scene, I will destroy your reputation online." She smiled. A cruel, victorious smile. She thought she had me. She thought I was trapped. The work was done. Why would I undo it? "So," she laughed, "be a good girl and go pour the wine." I looked at Brittany. She was smirking at her phone. I looked at Mrs. Hampton. I felt a calm wash over me, the kind of calm that comes before a hurricane. "You're right, Mrs. Hampton," I said softly. "I can't force you to pay." "Smart choice," she said, waving me away. "Now get out." I walked out of the suite. I walked into the middle of the ballroom. I pulled out my walkie-talkie. "Attention all staff," I said, my voice steady. "This is Sarah, code red. I repeat, code red. The client has defaulted on payment." My head caterer, Marco, answered immediately. "Code red? Are you sure, boss?" "I'm sure," I said. "Pack it up. Everything. If we brought it, it leaves with us. You have 45 minutes. The deconstruction. It was a symphony of destruction. My team 30 people who were tired of being treated like dirt sprang into action. The florists walked to the tables and pulled the centerpieces. Swish. Swish. The expensive orchids were tossed into black garbage bags. The waiters cleared the gold cutlery. Clatter, clatter. The linens were ripped off the tables. I went to the kitchen. "Marco? The lobster?" "Already in the cooler truck, boss." Marco grinned. "What about the cake?" I looked at the 10-tier masterpiece. "Take the top tier for us to eat," I said. "Bin the rest." In 30 minutes, the fairy tale was gone. The ballroom was just an empty barn with a concrete floor. No chairs, no tables, no flowers, no lights, no food, no bar, just silence. The reveal. At 1:15 p.m., the first shuttle of guests arrived. They walked into the venue expecting luxury. They found nothing. Confused whispers started. "Is this the right place? Where are the chairs?" Up in the bridal suite, Brittany finally looked out the window. I heard the scream. It wasn't human. It was a banshee shriek. "What is happening?" Brittany and Mrs. Hampton ran down the stairs in their silk robes barefoot. They burst into the empty ballroom. They saw me standing by the loading dock holding the door for the last truck. "Where is it?" Mrs. Hampton screamed, her face purple. "Where is my wedding?" "It's in the truck," I said calmly, checking my clipboard. Per the contract, all rental items and perishables remain the property of Elegance Events until full payment is received. Since you declined to pay, I repossessed my property. You monster!" Brittany sobbed, falling to her knees on the dirty concrete. "My guests are here. My followers are watching." "You can't do this!" Mrs. Hampton lunged at me. My security guard, a large man named Tiny, stepped in front of her. "I can," I said. "And I did." "I'll pay," Mrs. Hampton yelled, fumbling for her purse. "Here, I'll write the check, $50,000. Take it." I looked at the checkbook. Then I looked at my watch. "I'm sorry," I said. "My staff has been dismissed. The food is no longer at serving temperature, the flowers are damaged, and frankly, I'm off the clock." "Please," Brittany begged, mascara running down her face. "Sarah, please! I'll give you a shout-out. I'll tag you." I laughed. "You can't pay my daughter's tuition with a shout-out, sweetie." I climbed into the passenger seat of the truck. "Have a nice day, ladies." As we drove away, I saw the groom arriving. He looked at the crying bride, the screaming mother, and the empty barn. He didn't look upset. He looked relieved. I heard later he annulled the marriage 2 days later. Dodged a bullet. We ate the top tier of the wedding cake in the parking lot of a diner. It tasted like sweet, sweet justice. Mrs. Hampton tried to sue me. The judge looked at my contract, looked at her text refusing to pay, and laughed her out of court. She ended up paying me the $50,000 anyway as a cancellation fee mandated by the court. I bought a new van with that money. I named it Brittany. The moral of the story. Contracts exist for a reason. Never mistake a service worker's silence for weakness. We are quiet because we are professionals, not because we are scared. And if you try to steal from the person who cooks your food and holds the keys to your happiness, don't be surprised when you end up starving in an empty room. You get what you pay for, and if you pay nothing, you get exactly that.